Hi, welcome. This is Genevieve Stafford Jack, and welcome back to my channel. Today's question is quite interesting. It's going to pop up somewhere here on the screen, but I'm going to read it out for you. This particular question is from Mohammed from the Property Investing Facebook group. He says, with the possibility of the interest rate falling further before rising, is it a good idea to fix rates now for certainty on budgeting going forward, as budget was based on 10%? Taking into account that going back to 10% may be gradual, but with the current political situation, anything can happen. Now, putting this particular question in context, during this lockdown period, we have found that the basis points has dropped and dropped and dropped. So he's thinking, okay, cool. Now that it's sitting at 7% in today's world, what if he purchases a property and then decides he's going to fix, or he's going to either have it on a fixed rate or a variable rate? What will it actually look like going forward? Now, I want to ask this question, right? I've got a series of questions because before we actually say it is better to have a fixed rate versus a variable rate, or before we say it's better to have a variable rate than a fixed rate, we need to understand very clearly. Question number one: what is the property investment for? What is the objective of you getting that particular property for property investing? And you may say, but Jen, what do you mean? So this is what I mean, right? If I have bought a property, I am wanting to leverage equity, right? And the equity video, I will put a link up in here so that you can see what equity is if you may not know what equity is. So I may want to leverage equity. But now if I go in and for that particular property investment, I decided to go on a fixed rate, I have just cut off my hands because I will be very, very limited to equity when I'm on a fixed rate. So here's something else about a fixed rate, and depending on the actual objective for me buying that property. What if, and just say hypothetically, what if I now decide to sell this property investment, right? Because I've gone in to do a flip and I'm just worried how long is it going to take for me to sell this particular property, and I decide to go and fix the rate so that it doesn't throw me out. When I sell my property, I get into a little bit of financial pawpaw because there are penalties in selling the property while you've got this fixed rate going for however long you've got this particular term. However, if you sell it after the fixed rate is over, well, the penalties no longer are there. Now, I want you to get into the rhythm of asking yourself, what is this property investment for, before you make decisions such as, I want to have it on a fixed rate or I want to have it on a variable rate, because invariably there are pros and cons to it. So just as Mohammed suggested in the question, that he's wanting the certainty of what he's going to be paying in terms of his budget, knowing that today if he buys at 7%, if it goes down further and eventually starts coming up, it's not going to necessarily happen in a matter of 2 or 3 months. There's a time period for this to happen. For a fixed rate, you may say, but you know what? My fixed rate, I'm actually getting it so much cheaper. I'm getting it cheaper than the variable rate, right? And I'm wanting to go for that. Again, going back to the strategy, what did you buy that property for? How long is your fixed rate term for? Because that's the other thing that you need to consider, right? You've got this fixed rate, for example, 5 years. On year 6, think about this, your what you've been paying on a monthly basis, all of a sudden it's going to go up. How prepared are you? What are you wanting out of property after 5 years if this is on a fixed rate. Now, I'm slightly biased to this. And the reason I'm slightly biased to this is that I favor a variable rate. I didn't realize at one stage when I had my 2-bed, 1-bath, every time the rate went, when the interest rate went up, I said to Nedbank, let it go. But when the interest rate drops, keep it at to whatever it was at the time. Don't drop with it, right? I didn't realize how I had that. I was just a default investor, so to speak, because at that time I just thought, well, it makes sense. I'm used to paying this certain amounts of money. So for the longest time, let me still keep at this particular amount of money, because then I'll be paying extra into my capital amount, which really served me a little bit later when I was able to go into equity to do the maintenance in that place, and also just to have a little extra out of there to keep the bond going when my flat was vacant when selling it. Again, this was pre property investing education, and that was what my thinking was at the time. So I want to end this video by saying, think about what is it that you're after. If you are after for a fixed rate for a fixed term, ask yourself, what is this property investment opportunity for? What is my objective? Because for me, why I favor a variable rate is that I want leverage, and I want to leverage the bank's money. How best can I leverage the bank's money? It may just be in terms of equity. So in my mind, when I'm going into any deal in terms of joint ventures or whatever it is, and I've got that opportunity to buy a property, I'm not thinking fixed. I am thinking variable to leverage equity. So what is your reason? So I trust that this short video was short and to the point, and is also making you think, what is it that you are after, so that you are able to then answer that particular question for yourself. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload videos. Take good care.